So right now our tests are passing, but I'm not really happy with how this controller code looks. So I want to take a little bit of time to do some refactoring here while using the tests to make sure that everything's still working. So if we take a look at the code in this controller, we're trying to do sort of two distinct things. One section here is where we are charging the customer, and then down here, we're creating the order. So first I want to look at refactoring this section a little bit, just doing some simple stuff. So right now this is 4 lines, but I think we can make it a little bit shorter. We're trying to get rid of some of these temporary variables. So right now the token variable, for example, is only being used in one place. So we can just inline that and get rid of it. So now that line goes away. And now this amount variable, all we're doing is multiplying the ticket quantity by the concert ticket price. So if we stick this in there directly and then inline the ticket quantity with the call out to request, then all of a sudden this can be just reduced down into one single line. And if we go back and run the test, with any luck, everything is still passing. And it's actually failing because we do have one reference to ticket quantity somewhere else. So if we go back to the controller, you can actually see down here we're referencing ticket quantity. So we can just inline that with another call out to the request. And now with any luck, when we run the tests, this time we'll see a different result. Okay, so now we're back to green. So if we go back to our controller, we've reduced that down to one line. It's a little bit long, but I think I'm okay with it. And now we can take an opportunity to look at trying to clean up this a little bit. So one thing that I try to pay attention to in my controllers is calls like this, where we're directly interacting with the model's relationship. Ideally, I'd rather encapsulate this behind a method on the model so we don't have to worry about the details of this and can instead call something a little bit more expressive. All we're trying to do here is create a new order, right, based on the email and the ticket quantity. So ideally, those two things would be the parameters to some method call that we can make that would kind of hide all these details from us. Maybe it would look something like order equals concert order tickets. And we pass in the email of the customer as well as the ticket quantity. And that would be the whole thing. So what I'd like to do is try and drive out this API through a unit test for the concert and then come back and replace all this stuff with a call to that method once we've driven it out. So let's head over to our concert test here and we'll add a new test to the bottom. We'll call it can order concert tickets. Again, just a simple name to get started. Maybe we'll add more as we find more edge cases, but this is usually how I get the ball rolling. So for our arrange phase, we need a concert. So we can say concert equals factory, concert class create. And I don't think there's actually anything that we need to specify about the concert in this case, but if there is, we'll come back and add it. So for our act step, we want to try and order tickets like we had talked about, right? So maybe it'd be something like order equals concert, order tickets, and then we'll pass in an email address like jane@example.com, and then a ticket quantity, like maybe 3 tickets. So now for our assert step, we just want to basically make the same sort of assertions that we were making in that integration test. Maybe something like this, assert equals jane@example.com, order email, and then this assert equals 3, order tickets count. Just the same sort of thing we had before. So let's run this test and work towards implementing this. So if we run it, we get an error about an undefined order tickets method. So let's head into our concert class and we'll add a method for that. We'll stick it at the bottom for now. We might go back and rearrange some of these methods later. So we'll call this order tickets and it's going to take an email and a ticket quantity. And we'll go back and run the test again. And now we're getting an error that we're trying to get a property of non-object on line 64 in our test, which is right here where basically we're trying to get the email from the order, but no order actually came back from this method because we didn't actually do anything. So to get this passing, I'm just going to copy the implementation from the controller here and do a little bit of cleanup if necessary and see where that gets us. So instead of concert orders create, that's going to be this orders create. And instead of getting the email from the request, that now comes in as a parameter, as well as the ticket quantity, which also comes in as a parameter. So we can replace this with ticket quantity. And then we just have to make sure we return this order. And now with any luck, when we run the test again, we'll see that it passes. And we're green, great. So let's just do a little tweak here to make sure we see it fail. We'll do that same change where we made this mistake in our range call and make sure that this is actually failing so we know that the test is testing what we want. And now it does fail, so we can go back and tweak that back to 1. And now with any luck, if we go back to our concert orders controller, instead of manipulating all this stuff directly, we can just replace this with a call to concert order tickets, request email, request ticket quantity. And now if we run the purchase tickets test again, with any luck, it's passing. And it is. So I think we can remove these comments now because the code is a little bit more self-explanatory. And in the next video, we'll work on another acceptance test to drive out some more behavior around purchasing tickets.